So this session is going to be on GradeBeam, and GradeBeam has a lot to it, and so I will likely take up the entire hour, just to let you know. But what we're going to do is we're going to kind of go through everything that GradeBeam can do for you. And so as a quick intro to GradeBeam, if you're unfamiliar, what GradeBeam allows us to do is we can search nationally for subcontractors. This is really helpful when we're in locations where we have not done a lot of work before. So we have kind of our own yellow pages to work off of. It allows us to send bids electronically. And we can also send messages like bulletins or addendums or things like that electronically as well. And it all goes through GradeBeam, so we're not sending them out in our own email. It tracks our bid usage, so it tracks when subcontractors have said that they are going to bid, they're not going to bid, and things like that. So you can continuously track the progress of your bid coverage prior to the due date. And then lastly, what it allows us to do is electronically post all of our drawings in bid forms. So we're not using what we used to do, what would be like an FTP site or Ryan Connect site. We can post everything and host it all in GradeBeam, and then it's very secure in comparison to what we were using before with Ryan Connect, because only people who are invited to the bid are going to get a URL that allows them to go in and view this information. Previously with Ryan Connect, anybody who had the login and password was able to go in and get that information. And so there's some security around it, and then we can also track all that information as well to see who's logged in and viewed information and things like that. Okay, so that was the intro then to GradeBeam. You'll see here on my screen on the green, I typed in GradeBeam and searched. I'll do it again. And the very top option here, Ryan Wiki's GradeBeam, is going to bring you to this page. And so what this page has for you are some work instructions, training video, and some tips and tricks, mail merge information, a whole lot of things that we'll end up going through this session. But here you can always reference that information. The training video is going to take you right to YouTube, so you could watch this video on your tablet or on a mobile device in lieu of having to sit at your computer. Okay? And then this is where I'll also be posting any new updates. So anything new that happens, we'll be kind of publicizing it here. All right. So for those of you wanting or don't know if you have access to GradeBeam, if you were an employee as of roughly probably 2 years ago, you have a GradeBeam account. And so we first started using GradeBeam around that time, like 2 summers ago. And so, like I said, if you were an employee, you have an account. If you've never logged in before, that's fine. You still have it. For newer employees, you are getting, you get set up with a GradeBeam account when you also get set up with your ProLiance account. So I manage getting you set up with GradeBeam and ProLiance, and then you get an email from me that lets you know what your login information is. Okay? And how you can get to GradeBeam is you can go to Tools and GradeBeam. Okay? So this is your login screen, and the organization is going to be Ryan Companies. Your username will typically be the username that you use to log in on your computer. And then the password is different. So there's an initial password, and once you log in for the first time, you're prompted to change it. So we don't have single sign-on where this login matches what you have when you log into your computer every day. Okay? All right. If you don't have a GradeBeam account or you don't know how to get into it, just give me a call or shoot me an email, and I'll send over the information for you. Okay, so this is what GradeBeam website looks like. We have a list of projects here. These are all projects that are currently being bid or are going to bid. Now, over here on the top right, we have a few other tabs, and the one that we're going to go into later on is just under this reports. So we're going to focus primarily on reports and also on directory. And that's really about it. If you're ever in GradeBeam and you're in a page and you don't know how to get back to this main page, you can just click Workspace and it'll bring you back to this main page. Okay. All right, so we'll start with wanting to create a project. You'll see here in the left-hand side, you can just create a brand new one. And when you do, you're brought to a wizard where you're asked to enter information. You'll see this is step 1 of 5, so it's going to take you through 5 different pages to enter information. A lot of this is just project information, like where is it located, who is the contact, bid dates, and things like that. So you can go through each of the 5 pages and note that anything that has an asterisk next to it is required. And if you don't know something, you can always just put a dash there or something, but it needs to be filled. Okay? Now that's how you would create a project from scratch. What we have, in addition to that, are some templates for you. Now these templates have gone through and been revised as of late, so that they are more regionally focused than what they were before. Okay, so let me show you an example. Now, there's a template for every state, and then there's also various templates depending on where our hubs are located. So you'll see for Colorado, we don't have an office in Colorado, so we just have a state template called Colorado. If we went to Florida, you'll see that we have a state template for Florida, but then we also have a kind of a regional template because we have an office there. And so because we have an office in Tampa, our subcontractor database is a lot deeper than it would be in Colorado. So you'll see we have the central part of Florida, East Coast, Miami, and then Tampa. And for a city like Tampa or Miami or something like that, all the subs in that template are within a 30-mile radius of the city that's listed. So the statewide templates will include any subcontractor that we have worked with in the past or that we are working with currently that reside in that state. So we're not looking for, national contractors that are willing to travel for us. That can be categorized in a different way. If we looked at this Florida template, every person or every subcontractor would be a contractor that has their office in Florida. Now, if we were to look at the Tampa one, we would find that this list is comprised of subcontractors that we have worked with or are currently working with who are within a 30-mile radius of their office being in Tampa. Okay? So for those of you who are new, this doesn't seem like anything major. For those of you who have been here for a while and remember what the old templates used to look like, they were cluttered with a ton of information with subcontractors that were kind of all over the country. So we have cleaned those up and made them regional for you. So what are the benefits to using a template? If you were to create a project from scratch, then you are going to create your bid list from scratch. If you create a project from a template, then what you're doing is you are starting your project bid list with contractors we have worked with or are currently working with who reside in that area. So if you were to open up a state where we haven't done a lot of work, let's just take a look at Tennessee. You'll see that we only have a few that we know of. We haven't done a lot of work in Tennessee, and so this is just based on some projects we've done in the past where we've maybe leveraged a subcontractor or two from Tennessee. Or maybe they traveled for us down in Florida, but they reside in Tennessee. So here you can at least start with a starting point here. Now if we went into a template where we have an office, so let's say I go into Des Moines, we're going to have a lot more subcontractors to start with. Okay? And so you'll see where it has these numbers here. That means that these are all the subs that you could start with as far as kind of building from your bid list. If you create a project from scratch, then you'll start with nothing. But if it's in a location where we haven't done a lot of work before, then using one of the templates may not provide that much help for you anyway, because we may only have a handful of subs for you to reference. Okay? And these templates can always be updated and revised. So anytime you add new contractors to your area and they're located in that certain state or within that region, we can and you can update their information so that they are a part of that template then. Okay? All right. So instead of creating one from new, I'm going to create one from a template. And so to do that, I'm going to jump into, let's say I'll do a Davenport one. I'm going to click on this template, and then what I can do is I'm going to copy it. So I don't want to change this template. I want to keep this the way it is. So I'm going to copy the project. Now, depending on how many subcontractors are listed, it could take a little while, meaning like a minute or two. Okay, so you'll see that that took roughly 20 seconds. But you'll also see here that it's titled it Copy Of. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just change my project name. I'm going to call it ABC Grocery Store or something like that. And then what I'm looking at here is basically just the project properties for this project. So I'm not going to focus too heavily on a lot of these fields, but I am just going to make sure that everything that has an asterisk next to it has either a dash or something entered into it. So I'm just going to go through and make sure that everything looks right. Now again, it's looking for basically just bid information, address information, who's going to be the primary estimator or project manager. Oops, I wanted to keep that back here. All right. And so then down here is where you can enter all the information about your project. So you may have a bid intro sheet that you post within your documents, but you may want to say, you know, this grocery store is 120,000 square feet, yada, 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 and just kind of give an introduction to what the project is like. Okay? And so then I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to click Save. All right. Now because my bid due date was, I think, dated back in 2012, you'll see that the most recent ones here are shown initially. So I'm going to change my page size to show all 500 of them. Or what I can do here is I can just type in grocery, and it'll narrow down that list for me. All right. Now, if I click on this link, it's going to take me just to basically the project properties again. What I want to, so I'll click there. Now on the left-hand side, you'll see that I have a lot of options here. And so we'll kind of run through what each of these means. For documents, this is where you'll upload all your bid forms and all your drawings or anything else that you want to be available for your bidders. And so by clicking on Documents, a new window opens. And what I can do here is I can customize what this folder structure looks like. I can add folders, so I'll call this Bid Forms. I can create another folder and call the Drawings. All right. And then what I can do is I can create subfolders. So if I wanted to, I could make a Civil subfolder. And I could also make a structural subfolder. All right? Now to upload files, what you would need to do is you'll just highlight that folder and you can click Upload Files. All right? Now I'm just simply brought to Browse for some files here. And let me just jump into say I want to upload that one. I'll click upload, and you're able to kind of see the status of how quickly they're uploading. There's no size limit, so you can upload as many documents as you want. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click close. So now within my civil folder, I have this drawing, and I can continue to upload files and documents into any of the other folders. Now, one thing to remember is keeping your bidders in mind, and that is if they want to download the files, what they can do is they can select this checkbox, so it will highlight all the files that are in each folder, and they can download files. Now, if you have a folder structure set up where you only have, one document in each folder, it's going to be kind of a time-consuming and tedious thing for them to be able to open and save all this information. So, you can group them appropriately so that the file or the folder structure isn't too large, but it also allows them to be able to capture what it is that they want. Okay, if you want to delete files, you can delete them. And then the expiration date for all these files is 90 days. Now, if your project is going to have a longer bid process to it, or it gets delayed for whatever reason, and you want to extend that, you just have to let me know, or you can email support@gradebeam.com and just say that you want it extended out for another 90 days or whatever it is that you want it extended for. The files never actually get deleted. They just get moved from kind of a primary storage place to a secondary space. So they'll never be deleted. And so if you don't see them one day because they've hit their expiration date, you can just let me or GradeBeam support know, and they'll be able to get them back there for you. Okay? All right. Now what this also does, you'll see this little arrow asterisk here. If I were to click on this, what this will allow me to do is I can see how many bidders and who those bidders are that have downloaded this document. So if I ever wanted to check that individually on a per document basis, I'd be able to do that here. This is one of the ways you can check the download activity. We'll look at another way you can do that later on under the report section. Okay. So this is one way. If somebody were to come to you and say, I never received that document, or I never got that, you could come in and double check and just see if they ever downloaded that file from here. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just close out on my documents. The next tab we have here is UCI coverage. And so UCI coverage here is basically all of your scopes of work that you're going out to bid on, and then any of the subcontractors that were copied over from that template. Now what I can do, if I wanted to, is I can click on this checkbox, and you'll see that some of these have zeros, and because within my template we added, as many spec sections as we could, there are some here that I know for my job I'm just not going to need. So let's say by checking all of these, what I really want to keep is I'm going to keep demo, and I'll keep concrete. I'll kind of go through this list here pretty quick. I'm going to keep precast, masonry. So I'm just going to kind of pick a few here that I want to keep that have some bidders already in there for me. Okay? And so by checking all of them and then unchecking the ones that I want to keep, what I can do is I can delete all of these out so I have a much smaller list to work off of. Okay, so I'll go all the way down here to the bottom, and I'm going to click delete. Right. Now this may take a little while. You'll see here now that I've reduced that down, so I'm going to click all these again, and I'm just going to uncheck the ones that I wanted here originally. Scroll all the way down and click delete. Now instead of adding all of these spec sections in, let's say if I started from a brand new project, what I've done is I've just started from a template, and I have all the spec sections that I want and more. Now I can just delete out the ones that I no longer want. So there's a little bit of cleanup, but it was much faster than going in and potentially adding in all of these that I want. Okay, so now let's say this is my bid list here. These are the scopes that I'm going to go out to bid on, and then I have some subcontractors here. What I can do is I can click on Demo, and this is going to show me the subcontractors that I think we copied with the Davenport template, so that are within the Davenport radius. All right, and so then here if I want to click on each one of these subcontractors, I can do that just by clicking on their name. And what this does then is this gives me general information about them, the address, contact information, website, etc. It tells me all of the different scopes of work that they do, aside from just, I think demo maybe is what I chose. It also shows me if they have any certifications, union versus non-union, small business, minority-owned, women-owned, veteran-owned, things like that. Now, anytime you see an edit pencil, that means you have the ability to go in and edit their information. So let's say you found out that they were also a minority-owned contractor. What you can do is you can add a certification, and you can select here, find veteran-owned, I think is what we wanted to do, veteran-owned small business, things like that. If you have any questions about what these terms mean, you can always ask myself or Elizabeth Campbell in the Minneapolis office, and she can help you decipher what all of these different classifications mean. All right? And typically what I do here is certification by other. So that just allows me to say that I know that they're a veteran-owned small business, and I can click Add, and then this entry will be added to their subcontractor profile. Okay? All right. Now groups, you'll see here, they are in the Iowa Davenport group. And that's what we pulled from when we opened up that Davenport, Iowa template. So if you know that they also work in Des Moines, something like that, you could scroll down and you could add Des Moines to their profile. All right? So by you updating the vendor information when you find out information about the sub, that's going to ensure that everybody has, everyone else who is referencing this vendor after the fact will see that updated information. And all this is just private to just Ryan Company employees. Okay. This is going to show me all of the projects that they have been added to. And then under private attributes, this actually comes from ProLiance. So what we do if a subcontractor has registered with us is we have their contract limit and we have their mod rate. So we pull that information into GradeBeam so that you can quickly take a look to see if this is even a company that you would want to bid to. If their mod rate is too high or their contract limit is too low, you may not add them. You may want to remove them from your bid list because they may not fit your project. Right? And then down here are your contacts. So if you know of new people that have been added to this company, then you can go ahead and update their information by just clicking Add Contact, or you can edit their information by clicking on the Edit pencil. Okay? So this is just all the information that we have here regarding the subcontractors. Now let's say I also wanted to add to this list. So I'm happy that I have 4, but I want to double or triple the number of demo contractors that I go to. What I can do is I will click Add Organization. And in doing so, what this allows me to do is begin to search for more demo contractors in the Iowa Davenport area. So typically what I do is I'll click on the Advanced Search button, and this will allow me to do a quick search, and I'll just kind of highlight some of my favorite filters. Now you'll see here, because I went in to the demo spec section in my UCI coverage, it's already going to filter and show me just my demo subs. Now another kind of favorite that I like to use is the zip code. So I would typically uncheck this project location, and instead I would just do a search by zip code. So I don't know a zip code in Iowa, but I'll just pick one here. And you can pick a radius, so we'll do 100 miles. And so we're looking for subcontractors who do demolition that are within 100 miles of this zip code. And maybe that's all I want to search by. I may not want to filter my search too much. So I'll click search. And then this will generate a list of subcontractors that are in the GradeBeam database that I can pull into my project. Okay. So you'll see here that there are quite a few. Now I'm not going to look at 158 of these records to determine who it is I want to add in. So maybe I filter my list then to only show contractors within 25 miles of that zip code that I put in there or something like that. But now what I can do is I can click on their vendor information, take a look at them, make sure that either their contract limit is great or their mod rate is good, and then I can add them. And to do that, I would just put a checkbox here and scroll all the way down to the bottom and click Invite to Bid. And in doing so, I'm not sending out anything. It's kind of a scary button to push. You're not sending any bids out yet. What you're doing is you're just simply adding them to your UCI coverage. So now you'll see I have 5 subcontractors here that I want to go and ask for to look at my demo. Okay? And then you can go back to search again and continue to filter your search. Now, let's say you are looking for someone in particular and you can't find them in the search. You can always click Add Organization, and this allows you then to add a subcontractor to GradeBeam. So you're continuously adding to the database. And so if you just know of this sub and we've never worked with them before, you can get them into GradeBeam so that we can always bid to them, and everybody company-wide can bid to them if they need to. So you would just simply enter their organization name and their fax number. Now, if their fax number pulls up a record in GradeBeam, it would show you that. So it would say, we already have a company by that fax number, and then it would likely maybe have the company's name that you were looking for, but maybe it has a period or a dash or an ampersand or something where it didn't pull that search up for you originally. And then it'll just walk you through a wizard again just to be able to add that company to GradeBeam. Okay. Now you can always click search again, and you can just search for them by name. So instead of going by zip code, I can instead just search by their name. So I know that we have a Brian's Concrete in here. Oops. All right, oops, that's not the one that I wanted. I'll try that one more time. We have a Brian's Concrete. Let's see if this pulls it up. Oh, I think I may have just filtered too many things here. There we go. Brian's Concrete, and here it is. So this is just a test one that I have, but like I said, you can just search by company name instead if you know what you're looking for, and invite them to bid. Okay? So now let's say I'm done adding my bidders to my demo. I can go back to UCI coverage, and you'll see it filtered it just to show me this spec section, and that's just because that was the one I went into. I can go up and select all codes, and it will show me all of them. All right. Now, we have 6 people here that we want to send our bid to, and the thing that I hope there's one thing you remember from this training, it's that before you send out your bids, the one key thing to do is to click on this edit pencil. And by doing so, what you're doing is you are going to double check that every subcontractor has a contact selected. Now you'll see in this example with McCleary, nobody is selected, which means that when I send this bid, neither of these 3 people are going to get notified. Now, where is the bid going to go to? If I click on their vendor company, what's going to happen is it's either going to go to this generic company email, or it's going to go to this company fax number. But it's not going to go to one of the 3 that I have selected here. And so that's where we find if this step is missed, a lot of times the people that you said you wanted to expect to get a bid invite from, they call a few days later and they haven't gotten it yet, and you have to go through various steps on resending that bid to them. So again, this is a fairly important step here, and that's just to check who you want the bid to go to. And you can pick multiple people at each company so that you guarantee that it gets to more than one person, or if you know that Tim's going to be on vacation, but he'll be back next week, I can copy Andy and Alan so that they can kind of keep him up to speed once Tim gets back. All right. Now, if I'm ready to send out this demo package, that's when I can click Send All. And what it's going to do is it will send out a bid invitation to just these contractors on this page. Okay? And so the delivery type default is always email or fax, and that's what we prefer. So first it's going to try email, and if for some reason it fails because maybe the email address was entered incorrectly or something like that, then it will go to the fax number that you have listed for the contact. So there's always kind of a double up then. All right? So let's say I'm not ready to send all of them yet, and I only want to send one to Brian's Concrete. Now what you can do before you send this is you can click on the magnifying glass, and that's going to show you what this bid invite looks like. So it's going to have project information, what scopes of work you want them to bid on, this text here about the information about the project, and then it's going to have their information and my information. What they will receive is an email where they can just click on this link, and it will bring them directly into GradeBeam. So go ahead and close that. So if I just want to send this just one here to Brian's, what I can do is I'll just click the back button until I get back here. I'm going to click on Demo, so I'm going to click on the link, and then instead of, there's not like a Send All option, I'm just going to click Send next to Brian's Concrete. So I'm just going to click Send. And so now I only sent one. Now this doesn't make a lot of sense when you're going out to bid for the first time, but just for this example I just wanted to send one, and obviously not all of them. So now I'm able to send just that one to Brian's, and I can go back to my UCI coverage, and you'll notice here that there's 5 that still have not been sent, and there's 1 where I did send that one to Brian's Concrete, but I haven't gotten a response yet. Now once Brian goes in and he looks at my bid, he has the option to click Will Bid or Will Not Bid. And so once your subcontractors receive your invitations and they begin to look at and decide if they're going to bid or not, these numbers here for no responses will trickle into the Will Bid and Will Not Bid. Okay. All right. Okay. Now we're going to jump down here to, I'll finish up one thing here. If you're ready to send all of your bids out for these, for all of these scopes of work, instead of going in and individually clicking Send All, what you can do instead is you can click Send here. And so then this would send all of the invites for every scope you have listed. If you want to do it scope by scope, then you can jump in and do it that way. But either way, before you send them, just make sure that you click on the edit pencil and just guarantee that you have at least one person checked. Okay? Now, this UCI coverage page is going to be leveraged heavily as you're preparing your bid package and when you send them out. Now, the project team page is what will be used after your bid has been sent, because you'll want to check to see who's going to bid, who's not going to bid, and things like that. So let's say I know, because I just got off the phone with someone at Brian's Concrete, that they are going to bid on this project. I can come in here and I can say, I'll put a checkbox next to Brian and say they are going to bid. Okay? So if your subcontractors or your bidders miss that step, and it's fine if they do, I would say that in the experience that we've had, subcontractors or bidders just want to download your plans, take a look at the project, understand the timing and scope before they commit to bidding or not. So you may find that there's not a lot of bidders who actually update their status. But what you can do is through emails or conversations you've had with them, you know that they're going to bid or not, and you can click will or will not bid. All right, and then this will just help you through as you begin to track the bid progress to see what scopes are you short on, or as far as needing to go out and look for more bidders to go to. Okay, and so by jumping back to the UCI coverage, we'll now see that that one has moved from no response to will bid. And so now I can see that in my demo, I have at least one contractor that's willing to bid on this project. And so if I only have one and all these other 5 say that they're not going to bid on my project, then that tells me before the due date that these bids are due, I want to reach out and find 5 to 10 more bidders to go to try and get my coverage to be adequate. So that's why using this progress sheet here will allow you to very quickly see what scopes you may need to search for more bidders on. And so you can be more proactive during that bid phase in lieu of reactive and just waiting for those bids to come back. Okay? Now the bidder, when they get that email, is only going to be able to see the project properties information and the documents. So that's where they will come in and download all the documents that you have posted there. All right. Now here under message history, this will allow me to see all the different messages that I have sent. So here you can see that I sent a message to Brian. It went out on this date and time, and then whenever Brian opens that email and he clicks on that link, I'll get a timestamp that he opened that. Now my delivery status would maybe say failed or something if I had an incorrect email address or an incorrect fax number. So what you could do is, the next day after you send out all these bids, you could come in here and sort by delivery status, and that'll sort it alphabetically for you. So you could quickly go through and see which ones have failed or not. Okay? If we ever needed to resend it to Brian, we could. Let's say somebody else was added to their company. Brian's on vacation, and we need to send it to somebody else. It takes a few steps, but what you can do is you can go back to Project Team, find Brian. We're going to click on the View ITB. So ITB is Invitation to Bid. And then what I can do is I can instead select Morgan. Right? I'm going to save changes. And then now what I'm going to do is I can click on Message History from here as well. And we'll see here that I have 2 people selected now, Brian and Morgan. So I'll click on Message History, and I'm going to resend it. It's asked me if I want to do it email only, and I'm fine with that. So now my message history will update because I will have sent it again to both Morgan and Brian. Okay? You'll see here it lets me know if there's an invalid email address. And so like I said, you can click here on delivery status and see any that have failed. You could also come here and search for that. So now I know that it went to Brian, but it didn't go to the other person I had selected. So if I needed to go in and correct their information, I can do that. Okay? All right. Now, if somebody is new to your team and they were not a part of the initial bid that went out and that you want to grant them access to your project, you can click on Editors, and then you can check who should have access or who shouldn't have access to your project. Okay? So if I wanted to, I could uncheck everyone, and click Save. Okay. And then the last thing that I'll talk about as far as this project goes is you have the ability to make packages. So if you want to send out your bid in various packages like site work, MEP, interiors, envelope, etc., you can do that. And so to do that, what you would do is you would instead click on this Add Package. So how you would set this up, and I would say a majority of the projects do this, because likely you're going to send out your bids in different phases, is that you would just create this one project, call it ABC Grocery Store, and then not really add anything to your UCI coverage. Then, where you're spending most of your time is revising your UCI coverage for your different packages. Now the packages look and feel the exact same. But instead, what I'll do here is I'll say ABC Grocery Store MEP package. Okay, I'll enter the bid due date for this package specifically and any information that I want, and then I can focus on making a good UCI coverage page for my MEPs. All right? And then you will use the packages just like what I've shown in the projects, except you're just kind of categorizing and consolidating when you want certain bidders to see information. The other benefit is that you can upload different documents into each package. So for your MEPs, you'll want to have just your MEP bid forms and just the drawings that they need to reference in lieu of just uploading everything. And then again, for your finishes, you would do the same thing. Upload just your finishes, bid forms, and the appropriate drawings that they need to see. Okay? And I would definitely say that this is what most projects are doing. So I'll just click Done here. Okay? If you enter something invalid, it will let you know, and it won't let you save it. So I'll just enter today's date, click Done. And so now you'll see that I'm within my ABC Grocery Store, and when I scroll down, I now have these different packages. Okay? All right. So I'm going to jump back to my workspace here, and this will just show me my projects again. And so now what I want to just touch on quickly here is this directory. Now the directory is the same page that we saw previously when we were searching for subcontractors. So if you just wanted to do a search outside of your project for somebody, you could. So I can do a search for Brian's Concrete again. And then if I want to, I can add them to one of the templates. All right, so I can pick Brian's Concrete and add them to one of the templates if I wanted to. All right, I can click Search again and just continue to search to find information that I'm looking for. Now by finding Brian's Concrete, I can also come in here and add them to the project I'm working on. So instead of doing your search through your project, you would instead come in here, click on the Edit pencil, and add them to a project. All right, I'll click Cancel. Okay, and then the last thing that I wanted to showcase here are the reports. All right, so there's this sheet or this page has a lot of reports here for you to look at, but I'm only going to highlight about 2 of them. The first one is the call sheet. And so the call sheet, what that allows you to do is pull up your project. And if I wanted to add, let's say, certifications and attributes, then what I can do is I can click View or Download. By viewing, what this is going to do is it's going to show me all of the people that I have that I'm about to go out to bid to. All right, so it's just kind of a double check. And so what I would look for here is I would look to make sure that everybody has a fax number entered or an email entered. Okay, so I can quickly go down this list to make sure that everybody has that, so I know when I send my bid out that it's not going to go just to no one. All right, and by clicking on attributes and certifications, I'm able to see if they have any minority classifications or and what their contract and mod rates are. So now if I want to print this or download it to an Excel file, I can do that. I can print it or I can download it. And to download it to an Excel file takes a few steps, but what you essentially want to do is just continue to kind of go through the motions here of downloading this link. You're going to save it, and then you're going to go into Excel and open up the document, and then it will open up as an Excel. So then if you want to print that or email that out to your team to say, you know, here's our bid list that we're about to send out to you, and they can just double check the contacts are the right ones for it to go to. Okay? The other two would be this document activity drill down and online document activity. So what this does, and we'll just jump into each one. Let me maybe pick one where they have sent something, and without really looking, I'm just going to kind of pick one here. So the online activity, what this would do is show me who's logged in. For the activity drill down, this will show me what documents they have pulled down. So again, without, shoot, I need to pick a good project here. FedEx. Okay, so what I can do here is I can look at each of the subcontractors or bidders that I've gone to, and I can see which documents they've downloaded. So again, if somebody came back to you and said that they didn't receive that file or they never looked at it when they were doing pricing for you, you can always come back and reference that. It tells you when they opened up that file. All right, and so that's the document drill down. Now let me jump into this one so you can see the difference, the online document activity. So let me go to FedEx and view. Oh, I think my date range might be, let's do 2010 to see if that helps. Okay, what that does then, and this isn't nearly as pretty, but it will tell me and show me exactly when each subcontractor went in and looked at a file. Okay? All right, so that is kind of the GradeBeam 101 training as far as creating a project, copying from a template, searching for subcontractors, adding them to your project, getting your spec sections in, uploading files, etc. So that kind of concludes the training, or at least what I had. For those of you who are on the line, I will unmute everyone, so if you have questions that you want to ask, feel free to stay on the line. For those of you who don't have any questions and want to jump off, thanks for joining, and you can call me or get a hold of me offline if you have any questions. All right, thanks everyone. I will go ahead and unmute all of you.
I would feel bad. I even had them. I could take the plywood off and show them where it didn't. I made the mark. I said, you guys tell me what we're doing this.
All right. Do we have any questions at all?
I have one.
Here.
This is James Owen. I'm one of the new hires. So I just want a clarification. So you can still contact non-GradeBeam members with the info and send them a bid and whatnot as long as you have all their information?
Absolutely. Yep. So everybody that's in this directory, they aren't necessarily like members. It just means that we've added them to their database. So what we did, so if you find somebody and they're not in GradeBeam, that's fine. You can just add them. And so to add them, you would just click on the add an organization. Yep. And so then in doing so, by adding them to GradeBeam, you're kind of beefing up their database as well as allowing other people in your office and around the country to bid to them as well. So.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, that was my only question.
Okay. If you have a lot of subcontractors that you want added, you can always let me know because there's a potential for us to do like an upload or something like that, so you're not having to do it individually.
Okay, excellent. Good to know.
Morgan, this is Brad Whitmore. I sent you 2 chat questions. If you want to take a look at those.
Sure. Okay. Oh, good call. Here we go. Okay. All right. So the first one you have is, say a sub you wanted to bid wasn't on the template. How would you add them to the template? Okay. So what you can do is, let's say we search for someone, and I'll use Brian's Concrete as an example. Okay, so here's Brian's Concrete. Now, if you want to add them to a template so they are there forevermore, what you can do is you'll click on and add them to a group. So we'll add them to one of these groups or templates. If you just want to add them to your project, you'll go ahead and click on their vendor company information, and you'll come here to projects and click and add them to your project. You'll also see that you have the opportunity to pick their group as well. So you could add them to multiple templates as well as add them to multiple projects. Okay, and then your second one, let's see here. Are any changes you make to a given subcontractor's data automatically updated? And the answer is yes. So if you change, let's say you add a contact here, everybody within Ryan Companies is going to be able to see that there's a new contact. So we really promote, if you know that there's a new contact or just new information as far as like a new email or fax number or something, if you update the information, everyone at Ryan will also be able to see that. And so we are working on taking updated information from ProLiance and continuously making those updates and changes within GradeBeam. We don't have that as an automatic process. So if you make a change in ProLiance to a contact, it does not automatically make that change here in GradeBeam for you. But we are working on making that happen faster and easier. So. Yep, so just note that we are also checking the ProLiance updates as well.
Thank you, Morgan.
Yep, and then I do have another question from Becky. Does GradeBeam only allow you to upload certain file types? I have tried to upload a model drawing and it didn't give me the option. So we have had people upload models. That's a really good question. Let me jump into my grocery store project and let's just see here what I can do. So if I go into my project and I click on Documents and I upload files and I click on Add, you know, Becky, I know that we have done models, but maybe those models were saved as something different than what it is you're looking for. Now, it looks here that when I go by this filter, it says Approved File Types, so it's not going to allow you to upload something that GradeBeam won't allow you to. But if you have that, if that happens again, just let us know, and we can make sure that we get it uploaded appropriately, or at least save it as the right file. So if I went back and I just don't remember exactly what project it was that did this, but I know that we have done it before. So just let us know if that happens again to you, but we have been able to upload models before. All right. Are there any other questions?
Morgan, this is Tina. I don't know if you got my email, but I was wondering, is there a way that we can print out a bidders list from trades that we're interested in that the PMs can look at and they can check off who we want to invite? I didn't see where you could do that.
Okay. Yeah. So you're saying you just want to search for like a list of
Well, for instance,
people who do demolition
MEPs.
and then, yep, okay.
Yeah, MEPs, print out that list of MEP bidders that are available in that area and give to the PM to check, okay, these are the ones that I want to invite. And then we go back to GradeBeam and put those in.
You know, I think what you would have to do is, let's say I came in here and I wanted to pick, like, I'll just do plumbing really quick. Let's just see what we are asked to do. So if I pick plumbing, and then I'm going to look for everybody within this zip code. I'll do 10 miles just so we get kind of a small list, and I'm going to search. I think what you're going to have to do, Tina, is you'll have to add them to a project. So you'll see here that I have, like 9 ones I could add. Now what you could do is you could click print, or like if you wanted to take a screenshot or something like that, you could do that. But you could print this so that here you would say, here are my plumbing ones. Or what you could do is you could add them to your, like if you created a project that just said like preliminary bid list for my ABC grocery store, you could add them all in. I mean, you could have 20, 30, 50, 100 bidders per scope added in, and then you could run that call sheet report and say, this list has 1,000 people on it, but you go through and tell me who you want added and not. And then you would go into that go into that project, and you would just delete them all out, the ones that you didn't want.
That's excellent. Okay. Yep,
okay.
That'll work.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you, let me just go back into my ABC grocery. So if I went into my grocery store project, and let me just go into the right package here. And so then if I went into my UCI coverage and I went into this masonry, I can click on masonry, and then I can search for subcontractors. So I'll add organizations. And then now what I'll do is I'll look for everybody who does masonry, and let's say I do 55318, and let's say I'll do 50 miles. So let's say I get a ton of people that do this. Then what you can do is you could just add them all, and then you can run that call sheet report. So I have 69 of them. I can click here, and I would add every single one of those to my project. And so maybe 70 is a little much, right? But anyway, you get it. You could add them all, click the call sheet report, and then you would get this Excel spreadsheet that has like hundreds of bidders on it. But then at least you're saying, okay, Hertz, you tell me who you want on there. And then you would just come back into that UCI coverage and just delete them out one by one.
Ah, fantastic. That's what I needed.
Okay. Well, that's good. All right. For those of you who are still on, are there any other questions? Okay. Well, thanks everyone for joining. I appreciate it. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me offline, and we can go through those together. And for any new hires that are still on the call, you will be set up with GradeBeam and ProLiance, likely either by the end of the day today or by tomorrow. It all depends on when you submitted your payroll information. So just note that an email from me is coming. So, all right, everyone. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.